Greetings, YouTube. Um, One of the things that Americans have been grappling with for quite some time is folks that don't have a place to live. And this has become very pronounced because it's critical in many places because of the rising costs of rent and that have just driven people out of their homes. Landlords are keep jacking up the prices, knowing that they will get more affluent people to move in, and they just don't care what happens to the folks that used to live there. And so more and more families, not just individual adults, but entire families with children are being driven out of their homes and having nowhere to go. I mean, some can couch surf, they get lucky, and some are just living in cars and vans because they have no choice. They have no system to provide them with a social safety net because we live in America. And America hates social safety nets. That's something that's done in those evil communist countries that like actually seem to give a crap about human existence. Um, and it's even gotten worse in some places because they're like defunding children's food programs. They're criminalizing or even advancing further laws to criminalize being homeless more than they already do. They're putting in obstacles so that people will have nowhere to lay down, like under shelter, by literally putting boulders in a place or spikes on the ground so that people cannot lie down um, because they need a place to go and they don't have one. And the cruelty is the point. But beyond just the vile cruelty that is being seen right there in that moment in that place, poverty is being exploited as a tool. Poverty is the stick. Poverty is the capitalistic system saying, if you don't toe the line, you will be driven into the cold and you will die. Your pets will be lost to you. Your children will have to stay in a car if they're lucky. So shut up, toe the line, and be happy with whatever pittance we pay you. That's what poverty is. I've often said that capitalism is built upon uh, a foundation of three legs. Poverty, which is built into the system and it's intentional. The exploitation of resources, both human and nature, and the concentration of wealth. If you diffuse any of one of those, if you remove one of those legs, capitalism collapses. If you stop people from concentrating with the wealth, capitalism can't advance as quick. It doesn't have as much control and scope. If you curtail the exploitation of natural resources through environmental laws and prevent people from being exploited by companies uh, because they consider you to be a human resource, remember that, and resources are things that are consumed, then capitalism again, it can't do what it wants to do because stops have been put in place. And if everyone has a social safety net so that they know that from cradle to grave, they're never going to have to worry about a place to live. They're never going to have to worry about health care or food or proper education. The impetus to toe the line, the impetus to put up with the exploitative behavior disappears. So American capitalists are doing everything in their power to make sure that they can continue to exploit. They can continue to drive people into poverty. They continue to concentrate their wealth in their own coffers because that's what makes them happy. It's what gives them the power and the control that they so, greedily thrive and desire. So yeah, um, don't don't buy the BS that the answer to being homeless is to criminalize it. We know, for example, that it costs like 3 to 4 times as much money to criminalize homelessness than it does to just give someone a place to live. Just treating people like humans is a better answer. Not to mention, they don't end up with a criminal record, which makes it harder for them to get a job and even more easily exploited. Gee, it's almost like that's a feature. So when people start talking about homelessness to you or around you, point out that it's a it's a component of capitalism that there shouldn't be a market value of a human life, that everyone should have a place to live. And we have the capacity to make this work. We have created the wealth to make this happen. We just foolishly let billionaires control it. There are 5 billionaires in the world today that control, I think it's like just under $900 billion between them. And if they were each to spend $1 million per day, it would take them more than 470 years to spend all that money. That's not even taking into account that, they'd be accruing interest on the rest, so they would probably never run out. It would just keep getting more and more. No one needs that much money. We should be taxing these people and putting that into the public coffers so we can do the things that need to be done to make sure that everyone has the things they need. If it is something that is required for survival, we, the people, should be making sure it's either being provided or subsidized. No one should suffer. Suffering should not be considered part of life.